Hello and welcome back to the Calorie Deficit University podcast. And yes, for the first time ever, I'm actually being serious about taking all of my content to YouTube. So if you have followed me previously on TikTok or even Instagram, I am really making the transition to YouTube full time. And that will be where I put the majority of my content now. So if you want to see my face and get to know me a little bit better for these podcast episodes, or throw them up on your computer or something like that, that is what I'm going to be doing with the majority of my time now. So you can see my backdrop, get to know me a little bit more, and really get the essence of what I'm trying to do here with my business. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into the episode about cognitive dissonance and how it could be keeping you stuck in anything in life, but more specifically can keep you overweight long term. Okay, this is probably one of the hardest points of contention that I have as a coach in the fitness industry, as it is something that is very hard to change, and for a lot of people requires therapy. And so, for those of us who maybe can't afford therapy or aren't interested in therapy, hopefully you will get some help from this topic today. Now, off of the rip, I will tell you it's a little bit of a tough topic to absorb. It was a tough topic for me to absorb. Before I understood these concepts, was getting in my own way all of the time, believing things about myself that were not helpful. I was in my head a lot and just not a well person. And so I would blame everybody for things that I was actively participating in, and overall just was living a miserable life. So if you're coming from that perspective and jumping into this podcast episode today, hopefully this will help you, but I will ask that you listen with an open mind and know that I am here to help you and help you see things about yourself to improve. And I'm not here to blame you or hurt you or make you feel worse about what is going on in your life and how it might be preventing you from losing weight and just the weight loss process overall. At the end of the day, change is just so damn hard, and people don't change. And that's why we have an epidemic in this country of so many things, but specifically weight, okay? Because we don't want to change the way that we are and the things that we're doing, but it necessitates it, okay? So let me preface this, like I said, with some kindness and gentleness off of the rip, because I see none of that, honestly, sometimes on the fitness internet space. It's so funny to me because David Goggins really, if you just took what he says, for example, or really any of the tough, just suck it up kind of influencers out there when it comes to weight loss and fitness, the essence of what they're saying is true. They're trying to get you out of your dissonance, of this duality of things that you believe about yourself that just aren't true, or the way that you have gotten in your own way that are preventing you from succeeding. But they're delivering that message in a not very awesome way for the majority of people to kind of absorb what they're trying to say. Because telling you just it's easy to be great these days, it's yeah, I kind of believe that, because people don't get their steps in and people do overeat, and that is the mass majority of people. But yelling at you to get you to change is not giving you the effective steps for change. And so that's what I'm going to try and help you do today, because you do need some of that tough love to get rid of your cognitive dissonance when it comes to health and wellness. But you definitely need a lot of gentleness and kindness too. So hopefully I'll be able to merge those two worlds for you today, and that you'll enjoy this episode overall. Because if I can get rid of my cognitive dissonance and my limiting beliefs as somebody educated in the space, and I can get out of my own way, so can you, okay? And I think that you're probably closer to it than you would think, just by listening to this podcast and trying to get other worldviews, other mindsets, other takes, education, and just being open and humble to learning new things, ideas, and opinions. So let's get into it. Number one, I see this happen a lot, and it's become a very large topic on my podcast as a whole. Just self-limiting beliefs. I have a lot of them, and I will probably still continue to work through them for the rest of my life. And so if I have a lot of them, I'm pretty sure that you do too, because every single client that I meet feels very defeated, and that's why they've come to me. They do not believe in themselves, and they need someone to have a little bit of hope, a little bit of belief for them. So if you have beliefs about yourself, really like that are negative, that maybe that you don't like, that you talk to yourself in a pretty profoundly negative way, that has to change. And if you're unsure, just take some time today to take a self audit. What do you actually believe about yourself, your health, and your wellness journey? And what's it going on? Like, what's upstairs looking like? Okay. If you believe that you can't do things, or that you're not capable of doing hard things, or that weight loss has never worked for you in the past, that a calorie deficit has never worked for you in the past, or exercise has never worked for you in the past, this, that, and the other, then nothing is ever going to work, and you are going to stand in your own way with that belief. Your brain is going to accept that neural pathway as a framework to build off of, and you will build off of that negativity that you will never be able to achieve exactly what you set your mind to. And so you won't. And words have meaning, and words are powerful. And I'm not trying to approach this from a woo-woo point of view, but I'm trying to encourage you that you are powerful, that your brain is powerful, and that you really can achieve things that you set out and that you put your mind to. If you believe a very specific narrative that something is wrong, like something's wrong with you or people around you, or there's something wrong like an existential threat or conspiracy theory, maybe you believe that you have a condition that limits you, that makes you other, that makes you special, that would prevent you from making changes necessary to do something different, that is going to be true, and that will be your reality. I work with people who have conditions all the time, like PCOS and different metabolic diseases every day. Obesity is a metabolic disease. I literally work to help improve those conditions every single day. And while yes, you may be special, there are not special solutions for you. There are always going to be instances where you have to improve your nutrition, improve your food environment, move more, exercise. Those are always going to be the key basics and fundamentals of improving your health overall. That is never going away. That is a part of the human condition, and that most likely will never change, or at least we won't be alive to see that evolutionary change over time. So, number 2. Figuring out the whole picture first. This is the first thing that I do with my clients through data collection. We need to take both a day-to-day view, but also a year-to-year bird's eye view. You have to look at your life in those two different ways. Every day, do you check off those boxes? Are you getting your steps in? Are you going to the gym? Are you eating nutrient-dense food? What are you doing day in and day out? How does that look? Do you hit those boxes a majority of the time, day in and day out? Or are your days kind of always messed around and they're never really focused, and they don't have a plan, they don't have a goal, they're filled with negativity, doubt, strife, emotional distress, extreme stress? Figuring out what is your day routine. Does it even have a routine? Are you just going by the seat of your pants trying to survive day to day? And then second to that, looking at your life from a year-over-year perspective. So many people have absolutely no idea what they are doing year after year, and it can really mess you up. I see this with finances as well. Something like $25 a day ends up being about $10,000 spent a year. And how many of us can easily just go get a coffee or a sandwich and end up racking up those bills over time? It's the same thing with your food consumption. I will have people join me and be like, oh, I never really do anything fun. I never really go out to eat. I'm not really doing anything special. I don't really understand why I'm not able to make these changes in my life. And then we'll do a little bit of an audit, and they take at least one trip a month. They go out to eat every single weekend. They regularly drink more than one drink a week. And their life is just really fun. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm saying that some of those things will have to change, and the behavior around those things, the consumption of those things, the interaction with those things will have to change. It doesn't mean that you don't partake, that you don't have friends. It just means that it's not going to be able to be balls to the wall consumption all of the time if you want to see change. But no one's telling you you have to change. No one's telling you you have to lose weight. Losing weight is a voluntary decision and process, unless you're being forced to by your health issues, I guess. That would be the only time that you don't really have a choice, as if it's like do or die. But for the most part, weight loss is something that you get to choose if you want to do it or not. No one's forcing you to do it. And so if we take a bird's eye view, we start to see the clarity of it all. I'm going to say something that hopefully will change maybe your brain chemistry. It changed my brain chemistry and really helped me take accountability for my behavior from a year-over-year view, is that your body composition is an accumulation of your life's choices and decisions around your consumption of food and movement of your body. So if you don't like what your physique looks like, then we're going to have a second lifetime. The second part of your life is going to have to look very, very different when it comes to the inputs. So what you're eating, how you're moving your body. Because if you want different results, you have to have different inputs. Albert Einstein famously has said, doing the same thing over and over again is just insanity. Okay, so expecting the different results by doing the same thing over and over again, it really is insane, but we all do it. Okay, number 3, taking steps of action, not reaction. Sadly enough, the weight loss process is a reactionary one, okay? Most people live their entire lives reacting. They don't take action. They don't take ownership. They don't really practice their autonomy. They just react. Like I said, the process of losing weight is reactionary. You have lived your life however you wanted to up until this point, acting in a very specific way that has very specifically resulted in your body composition. Like I said, the inputs have gotten you where you are. And so now to change this, unfortunately, we are entering a reactionary state to try and undo that. But we have to somehow, some way, with your grit, with your might, with your strength, transition away from a reactionary mindset of a chain of reactions and get into just acting, okay? Not reacting, in order to see your change, right? For a lifelong change, you're going to have to get in a position where you act more and react less. Because think about it, this reactive mindset goes all the way down to when your mood changes. When you're in a bad mood, do you not go to the gym? Do you DoorDash food? When you are having something happen to you, do you react or do you act? Those are two very, very different things. Do you let your mood defer you from the plan? Or do you not let your mood or your every whim take you away from your plan? Shifting away from this reactionary state into a doer, a active state. I think that's the biggest mindset shift of, like, when people ask me, well, how do you stay consistent? How do you stay disciplined? How do you do what you do? I try my best every day. I'm not perfect at it, but I try my best to not be so reactive, but to learn self-reflection, self-accountability, to look and say, wow, how can I control myself? How can I control my actions? I can't control the actions of others. I can't control what everybody does around me, but I can control what I do. And I can control whether I live a reactive life or I get in the driver's seat and I actually go where I want to go. It's a big shift, but it affects even like the smallest minute essence of how you do everything day to day. Okay. The last one, number 4, is controlling the narrative. So if you control the narrative, you'll control the outcomes. And that's what we want to do. If you can control your mind, how you talk to yourself, how you perceive the world, and you can get yourself really mentally free to obtain the outcome that you want through action, you're going to get it. So hiring a coach, watching cute videos, reading books, watching this or listening to this podcast, all of those things are great, right? Making lots of plans, all of those things are really awesome. But that's not action, okay? That's just planning. That's just preparation. That's just education. Though none of those things are actually forms of action to take you where you want to go. Okay. Making lots of plans. I really need you to hear me in this. Okay. Making lots of plans is not doing the work. It's a form of procrastination that makes you feel like you're getting something done when you aren't. And this is not your fault that you are this way. I'm going to say a very not PC take, but that this reality that we're in, this reactive, procrastination filled reality is, supported by capitalism and endorsed and praised by our society from a young age. In class, I would ask all the time, I'd say, well, why are we doing it like this? Or my friend does math this way. Can I do it this way? I want to read this book instead. I want to do this. There have been so many times in life where we do meaningless, menial things, or how much procrastination is rewarded at work or around you. That works in capitalism, that works in this timeline, in how we work as human beings. People are rewarded for that now, and that's fine. It's not going to get you the life that you want internally, though. Extreme procrastination is going to make you feel miserable, and that's intentional because it makes you participate in the consumer economy, the quick food economy, the quick, everything needs to be quick, and the cheap and speedy and convenience, instead of actually being like, whoa, do I even need this? No, you don't need Uber Eats to live. Sorry. You just don't. And those are things I'm talking about, changing your worldview, changing your perspective of, I can go against status quo. I don't need to do what everyone else is doing. I can do exactly the things that I want to do. I need to take care of myself. I need to not be a people pleaser and create your own worldview, your own things that are important to you, and not giving in to the whims of yourself or everyone else. Okay? So, this is probably going to be the most important part of the episode, and it's really not over yet. There's still a lot to go. So I know at about the 15-minute, 20-minute mark, people get a little like, wow, this might be going long. I really need you to hear me in this, okay? Because this is the most important part of the episode. The cost of procrastination is the life that you could have lived. I need this tattooed somewhere. Okay, as a chronic procrastinator, I need this to be on my forehead. I need this everywhere. I need this on every corner, every wall, because I am bad with procrastination. I'm going to say it again. The cost of procrastination is the life that you could have lived. Period, point blank. The longer you give in to your immediate whims, the more you participate in a cognitively dissonant lifestyle, the worse off you're going to be, the more you're going to trade away the life that you want, okay? Every time you decide that you aren't going to do something for yourself that is going to lead you to the life that you want to live, you are literally telling yourself, you're telling your brain, you're telling your neurological mapping that you are okay with things never changing. You're telling your brain you're okay with breaking promises to yourself. You're telling your brain you're okay with never achieving the goals that you have in mind for yourself. That's what you're telling yourself. That's what you're settling for. You have all of these things that you want to do, but you're not acting like it. You're not acting like you want to do those things or that you want that change at all. Your actions do not align with your goals and desires. You are not really doing as much as you could be doing, but you're telling yourself that you are when you aren't. This is the essence of cognitive dissonance. You are putting yourself through mental pain and suffering for no outcomes, for no true change at all. It is the toughest life lesson to learn. But if you aren't getting where you want to go, assess your actions and get rid of your reactions. Please hear me in this. If you are mad at a lack of outcomes, specifically to something as mathematically calculatable as weight loss, there is something off in the inputs and the action that you are taking. It's not that you're broken, because you're not. It's not that you have something wrong with you, because most likely you don't. The inputs need adjusting. The action needs changed. You're far better off just checking off the boring ass boxes and getting the work done than you are trying to make a plan or do this, do that. Well, when February rolls around, when this happens, stop doing that. Stop making plans and start executing. You've been thinking on it. You've been mulling it over. You've listened to this podcast. You've listened to this resource. You've read this book. You subscribed to that. You hired this coach. You did that. Actually do the inputs. Actually do the work. And if you feel like you're like, but Alexis, I am doing the hard work. I've been there. To that I say, you have to just be patient and fucking dig in and be relentless, be unshakable, and keep going, because you'll figure it out. If you're actually putting in the effort that you say you are, you're going to get there. Okay? So areas of awareness and places that I see the most cognitive dissonance occurring just traditionally overall with my clients, okay? Number one, you're not going to be surprised, is tracking food. Everybody is so bad at really honestly and accurately assessing what you consume. And it's not like, oh, good job, you tracked your food for 2 weeks. I'm talking about try tracking your food for a year. Try tracking your binge eating day. Try tracking your Christmas dinner. Try tracking your birthday month or your birthday week. Track the uncomfortable shit. I don't care about the chicken breast that you're tracking. I want to see the uncomfortable shit. Track the stuff that you don't want anyone to see, and it's for you, it's your data, so that you can really be honest with yourself and understand, because the results are the results, the data is the data. The average American eats 3,800 calories a day, and you're not, unless you're like a 6'5" beastie male who is dedicated to putting on as much lean muscle mass as possible day in and day out in the gym, screaming and crying, throwing up, pushing themselves. You're not going to eat 3,800 calories a day and have the physique of your dreams. It's just not in the cards. That's not how human physiology works. And thank God, because if I had to eat 3,800 calories a day, that would be really, really bad, because I couldn't afford it and I would starve to death. Yeah, literally wouldn't be able to afford it, and I would physically die. And the human population would literally wither away and cease to exist. Our human biology, I really need you to hear this. Our human biology is beautiful and adaptive and designed intentionally to survive. We have adapted so well over time to not have an excessive need of 3,800 calories a day to live, because our human race wants to survive. It's survived famines. It's survived droughts. It's survived world wars. That is the intention of our evolution. That is how we've survived. And if you don't like those things, then probably weight loss in a scientifically traditional sense is not going to be for you. And you can find woo-woo alternative methods that will put you into a calorie deficit, that like will make you feel like you're not actually doing a calorie deficit, but you are, to lose weight. And that's just your path, and that's okay. Number 2, I see a lot of people not accurately represent what their movement overall is looking like. Like they'll be like in their assessment with me, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally get like 10,000 steps a day. Like, duh, I don't miss a day. Like I do this, I do that. And then we'll actually take the data from their Apple Watch or their Fitbit or their Garmin or whatever the fuck, and we'll look at their average, okay? Not what they think their day in and day out movement looks like. Their average of the year. And it's 5,000 steps. That's not 10. You get an F. That's a 50. 50%. You fail. That's not going to cut it. Okay. But I'm telling you, the reason I know these things is because these are the cognitive dissonance assessments that I've done with myself. My step average is like 8,000 a day. Okay. I need to work on it myself. It's hard. But it'll go up. It'll go up. I promise. I have periods of sedentariness when I'm really grinding and working on my business. And then I have periods where I outweigh those periods of sedentariness with being probably far too active and being kind of unhinged. Okay. Like in 2 months, I'm going to be doing 15,000 steps a day every single day for my cut because it's unhinged behavior. Okay. The averages are important. Needless to say, the averages are important. Or they'll be like, yeah, I never miss the gym ever. We'll take an audit and it'll be like you only went to the gym 100 times in the year. That's less than a third. That's bad. That's not good enough. Number 3, alcohol and treats. So you're dramatically unaware of just how much alcohol is the center of your life, most likely. And also, the Surgeon General in this country now wants to put a black box warning label for cancer on alcohol. Thank God. Because now I will literally use that for ammunition all over all the time. I pretty much ask the majority of my clients to be sober. This is a very hot take. You're not going to like it. It's going to make you feel super uncomfortable, and it's a very radical one. I'm self-aware enough to know that. I think that if you are not serious enough about cutting alcohol out of your life and you're complaining about weight loss, I don't like you. I won't work with you. That's so annoying. You're annoying. You need to know that that's annoying. Like, it's like talking to someone who's like, oh my God, I have no money. And yet I look at them and they have their eyelashes done. They have nails extensions. They buy new clothes every single week. Like, I'm like, oh, the cognitive dissonance is dissonancing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you constantly whine about not losing weight or not seeing body composition changes or being like, I grind set so hard, I'm doing all this hard work and yet I'm not getting any results out of what I'm doing, but yet you're willing to tolerate regular alcohol consumption, you're not that serious. And I don't take your complaints as valid. That's the reality of it. It's a very hot take. I know it's probably going to hurt your feelings. Good. It's okay to have hurt feelings. I get my feelings hurt literally every day. I get myself accosted on the internet every day. But these are important things to hear because I'm sorry, in the same way that we view cigarettes, we are going to view alcohol in the future. It's just coming. It's a literal carcinogen. You should not be fucking with it. Sorry. I'm just saying sorry because both my parents are Canadian. So I just say sorry. Like, sorry. Like, I am sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay? You can't. And the sweet treat. So the best way I can recommend that you become aware of this cognitively is to calculate your percentages of consumption. So I do this with my clients. We'll take like little tidbits and days. I literally just did this the other day where it was like, oh, okay, we're eating at maintenance now. We're getting a little bit comfortable, a little bit cozy. We're not as dialed in. And it was like 45% of your daily consumption of food is coming from treats. Like, I'm talking about like cookies and cakes and donuts and high ultra processed food package items. And it's like, that's not a bad thing, but we still have metabolic changes to make. And we're not in a place where we can have 45% of our consumption come from that every single day. That's probably never going to be the reality for most people anyway. I feel more cozy, more comfortable having it way down towards like 20% of your consumption. Those are mathematical calculations that you can do when you collect your own data and say, okay, cool, how many calories are in my day are coming from alcohol and sweet treats? Easy, very easy to do. Okay. Number 4 is truly not eating enough nutrient-dense food. That's another thing that you can calculate, is how many calories are coming from whole foods on my day in and day out basis, and how many calories are coming from ultra-processed packaged foods that are high in sodium and low in nutrients. So I'm not going to discount deli meat. Deli meat is fine. I'm not going to discount like cheeses. That's fine. I'm talking about if your food has Coca-Cola or like whatever, the Oreo, Nabisco, like all those brands, Pringles, chip, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Does it come from one ingredient from the ground or nature, or is it something that has been literally modified for my consumption? It has literally been modified to be bought, to be consumed. Less of those, more fruit, vegetables, lean protein, dairy, okay? Grains, duh, obviously, and good like carbs like rice, potatoes. Yes, eat those things. Number 5, and this one's gonna feel mean. It's hopefully I've gained your trust up to this point that I'm just your real friend on the internet. I'm your realist. I want to be your big sister, dude, that's like helping you out to get to where you want to go. That's like, hey, here's the shit that I did on my own by myself that was horrible, that I had to go through. Let me help you avoid the pain and suffering that I had to go through so it's a little bit easier for you. That's my intention here. So do not mistake my tone. Do not mistake my sass. It's supposed to be entertaining as well. Thinking you're working really hard, which I'm sure you are, okay? But you're working on like the wrong things, or you just have misplaced efforts. So for example, I'll see this all the time. People be like, well, I'm eating high protein, I think. Like I'm doing all these fancy protein recipes, but I don't really know how to track them. So like, I'm not really sure if I'm in a deficit or not, but I know like I'm doing these little recipes and I think I am. Instead of just like, that's really hard to do these like crazy TikTok or whatever high protein recipes and like have 10,000 ingredients that are expensive and whatever. That is a way harder journey and a path to choose for yourself than literally just eating vegetables, fruit, lean protein, eating very simple ingredients that are very easy to track, and starting with the basics so that you know how to track your food. And getting those skills down, while boring for sure, requiring way less effort. So while the other one feels like you're doing a hard work, this lesson, I'm about to blow the lid off the shit, okay? Hard work does not get results. I said it. You can hate me. You can be so mad at me, but come on. We should know this by now. Look at the Nepo babies. Look at the billionaire families. Look at hard work. It matters, okay? But everyone's working hard. If you have a job, if you're a mom, if you're doing anything like in life, like a normal person, it's fucking hard, okay? You're doing hard things. You're doing hard work. Hard work is not a requirement of the results. That is, people are going to hate me for that, but it just is what it is. Eating fruit and vegetables should not be that hard. And if you think it's that hard, then there are cognitive barriers and self-beliefs that are limiting you and making it seem harder than it actually is, because it's really not supposed to be that hard. If you feel like you're in the trenches and it's like literally the hardest thing you've ever done, probably there's some portion of it that we're doing it to ourselves a little bit. Okay, it just is what it is. Hard work is like totally subjective too, because everybody thinks they're working hard. And I learned that very like the hard way in corporate America. Everybody thinks they're working hard. The lowest performer on very clear metrics, okay, very measurable data points, being the lowest performer, literally thought they were working the most and the hardest. And I would watch them log on at 8 and log off at 5. And I would be like, yeah, like that's your job. That's what you're getting paid for. But like, Me, homegirl was putting in 100 plus hours. Like, again, hard work is subjective because I was working hard, sure, but not very smart. Like, I was putting in more hours for the same pay. We didn't get paid on the deliverables. We got paid for just doing the job. Okay, work smarter, not harder. What is smarter? Eating a simple diet that you weigh your food out. You know what's pretty fucking hard? Doing keto, doing carnivore, drinking colostrum, all those things. I would never do those things. Those are way fucking harder than literally just tracking what I'm eating. All about mindset, all about perspective, okay? So how do you fix your cognitive dissonance? First thing I would recommend to you is literally track everything so that you have concrete proof of what you are or aren't doing. This will help align you cognitively. Second thing I would do is find an accountability person, whether that's literally writing it down like in your journal or like sharing your MyFitnessPal with someone, maybe your partner, spouse, a friend, a girlfriend, maybe you're hiring a coach, someone to hold you accountable to your bullshit. Because the minute you start to kind of press on that procrastination a little bit and press into doing some action, I'm going to warn you, there will be cognitive backlash. Your brain will be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Why are we changing things up? Kind of felt cozy doing what we were doing before. This doesn't feel so cozy now. That's to be expected. Embrace it and keep going. Third thing, I cannot stress this enough. You need to live a life of malleability, okay? So you need to learn continuously. There are new things, updates and changes, and continuous requirements of growth for the rest of your life. And you can either grow or be outgrown. Okay, you can either change and get with the programs of things, or you can be left behind in the life that you're living and have no change. And that's okay. No one's telling you have to change. It's an active choice and a privilege to get to change if you want to change. But really, if you don't change, it's not like the world's going to end. The world will move on. Just depends on how you want your world to be and where you want it to go in the future. The last thing is that you have to accept that what you've done in the past isn't going to get to exist in the future. Change requires sacrifice. You're not going to be able to do something in the meantime to lose weight and then return to what you were doing before. You're going to have to eat vegetables, eat lean meat, eat, low fat dairy, all of these things, high fiber, high protein. You're going to have to move your body for the rest of your life. Those are the baseline requirements for the human existence. That is how you take care of your meat sack. That is your job. You are in charge of your meat sack for the rest of your life. And that is up to you on how you want to take care of it and what level of care you demand for yourself or not. Accept the things that have to change. Acceptance, huge. What I will leave you with in this final bit of wrapping up is that you can do it. You can do lots of hard things, and most likely you've done lots of hard things up until this point to get you where you are now. Believe it. Believe in yourself. The first step after you get off this podcast today is in cognitive dismantling, right? The first step is actually accepting that you can change your brain, that you can change your perspective, that you can change the way you see the world and the way that you see yourself. The first step, again, I'm going to say it again, the first step of dismantling your own cognitive dissonance is accepting that you can. Believe in yourself. It's corny as hell, but think about how many times you've heard it over the years since childhood, and you still aren't there yet. So start there. I know you can. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If it resonated with you or you would like some coaching or something, I would really appreciate if you left me a 5-star review so that I could continue to get pushed in the beautiful algorithms that we live in, this techno-feudalistic life. And of course, you can click the link in the description of this podcast episode to sign up for coaching and reach out to me, because I would love to help you achieve your goals, whether that is with physique or even just mental coaching around changing some big things in your life. That is what I'm here for. And of course, as always, I will see you in next week's episode.